Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Zareth, and this is my second game with Salamanders, and we're facing an army I've never knew existed at all until I got paired with him at our local gaming store. They do pairings. If you get there at a certain time, they guarantee a game, which is a wonderful feature, honestly, and they paired me up with someone else who was fairly new as well, trying to get back into 40k shape here, folks, in competitive play. Facing something with a ton of toughness 10 is really scary, but let's jump right in, folks. If you want to see my army list, you can look in the video description, and that'll be there. And don't forget to like, sub, all that stuff, folks. Don't miss out. We're gonna continue to make better and better, nicer and nicer content as it makes sense and it's possible. So you can see we did up the production value a little bit. Still have a little bit problem with my face cam, but we're playing face the foe, purge the foe, destroy the foe. And it's Dawn of War, so it's traditional placement, which is something that's kind of welcome for me, for an old school 40k player. I think we called Dawn of War something different back in the day, but my opponent has an enormous army full of war dogs, I believe they're called, and then it has a knight something. Well, we'll see it in just a minute, but it's fairly impressive. And so what I wanted to do here, folks, was because you need to kill things, but I didn't know what their capabilities were. Frankly, like, you ask and he's like, oh, he's got this gun and this gun and this gun, and you just listen too much, and for me, I can't filter all of that stuff into something usable and helpful. So I was like, okay, they're big, they probably hit hard, they probably shoot decently, because there's a lot of them. They're probably not going to be like crazy effective each, but in totality, they're going to be able to do quite a bit. And I wasn't that wrong, frankly. So I decided to do a thing called refusing flank, which is just putting all of my models in the center, or and then loading everything else. So center, or all the way left, or all the way right, and just ignoring one of the sides and making your opponent waste the characters that deployed there, so that you can kind of piecemeal them and you don't have to deal with the whole army on a huge front, because I wasn't at all confident that my Marines were going to be able to deal with all this toughness 10. It was 10 toughness 10 minimum, toughness 12 on that big guy. So you can see my objectives. These are all blast markers for 40k. They're not, I don't think they were big enough for this mission, but we didn't have objective markers, so we just had to use what we had. As you can see, those circled. My placement here, folks, and we're using a lot of proxies again. So we have, we changed the list a little bit. We have jump intercessors and vanguard vets, so 2 squads of jump marines. And I thought that this was going to be really helpful in the Pariah Nexus. And then we kind of rolled a weird board where they can't hide in the ruins as well as I wanted them to. That's fine. I like the repulsor so much that I took a repulsor executioner and I added 6 eradicators to that executioner, just so we'd have more tank kill, which they ended up being pretty decent there. And then we have the repulsor there with 10 in furnace. And then intercessors are hiding and controlling our objective. The Land Raider Redeemer has the Blade Guard with Adrax. And this is something new, this is a new player issue, folks, but I thought that I got to deploy first. I thought that meant I got to go first too. But apparently you have to roll afterward, and you guys are going to think it's dumb that I forgot about that. The thing is, in 6th edition, it wasn't like that. And I know, old timer, get with the times, I get it. It's not 6th edition, but I just, you kind of make these certain assumptions, and, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to get first turn. So I deployed very aggressively. Otherwise, I would have placed my guys a little farther back, actually considerably farther back, so to deny him a really great chance of being able to charge on his turn. Now, he has the brigands, those are the green painted guys, and carnivores are the brown painted ones. As we zoom in more and more throughout this report, you'll be able to see the color differences quite a bit. And then the Night Abominant, it's more more bigger than the rest of them, and it's scary. This is the kind of unit that Land Raiders feel like they need to buy a lifted truck to overcompensate for how inadequate they are size and substance wise. Now, my opponent did roll some decent secondaries. The established locus is very easy for his army to be able to accomplish. No prisoners is he's able to get every time he's able to kill a unit, he gets victory points up to 3. Units killed would get him 5 victory points. So he did advance. He was able to get a fairly easy charge with his carnivore on the left against my jump intercessors, and he has charged my land raider. With all of his shooting, he had managed to kill all of the land raider's hit points down to 2. He had 2 hit points left. The carnivore kind of just whiffed against the land raider. Land raider didn't do anything back really, but it was very impressive, honestly. So, yeah, the carnivore charged, and that was great. My Vanguard veterans lost 4 models because of indirect fire. All of them had Havoc launchers, which fire indirectly, and I rolled very poorly for my saves. My opponent really did roll very above average on his saves overall, and it's so discouraging, guys. It's also very scary for an army this green, to go up against this much toughness. So I was like, I don't know if I can beat this. And the fact that the carnivore assaulted my jump terminators on turn 1, I just thought that they were dead. I was just pretty sure. I was like, oh, well, that's it. So he assaulted the land raider, didn't actually die though, which was amazing. Thank goodness. And then he did a couple damage to that repulsor executioner. The carnivore there assaulted the jump marines, and he lost. Man, I think the chaplain gives all of the guys, so they're hitting on 3s, but there's like 40 dice, right? You're rolling a whole pile of dice. And actually, I think it's 36, because then you have a power fist and you have the chaplain punching. But you roll all those dice, hit on 3s, and then normally you just wound on 6s, and then he just makes a couple saves and you move on. But because you have the chaplain lets you, or gives you +1 on your wound roll. So instead of a 6, you have to roll a 5, which gives you double the wounds. I might have rolled a little better than average, I don't know, but the carnivore took like 7 wounds out of his 12, or something like that. Like, it was so surprising to me. I mean, I'm sure that the power fist did a little bit of the damage, and so did the Crozius from the chaplain, but I couldn't believe how well they stood up to that stupid brown bug-looking thing. It was very impressive of them. So good job, assault marines, assault interceptors. I can't even fathom it, folks. So my opponent actually didn't get any kills, and that's the only way he could have scored on the primary this turn. He did get established locus 4 of 4. He didn't get the no prisoners because he didn't kill no people. So you can see he's kind of abandoned his back objective, which is a questionable thing until you think that each of these guys is worth a lot of points. He doesn't have any characters that can just sit back and just kind of kick back and score and stuff. I kind of would have preferred if he did that, so he would put less pressure on me. But it's the question of, can he put pressure on me while also scoring? And the answer is, it's doubtful. I mean, I know I'm still new to this edition, but this is a very tricky conundrum for an army like his. I think it's an advantage for me. So I rolled for my first turn, extend battle lines and secure no man's land, which are controlling objectives, which is a nice thing, because I'm going to try to control objectives anyways. So we drive up. The Eradicators get out and torch a brigand. The Eradicators are all Melta. So really, I mean, I think we overkilled it by like 7 wounds or something like that. It was awesome and disgusting. The Repulsor with 10 Infernus just drove up, kept the Infernus in there, and held the objective on the left-hand side, even though the Abominant was just kind of staring it down. May as well just, those guys will just hunker down in their little tank and pray. And then the jump intercessors actually ended up killing the carnivore. Blade Guard got out with Adrax and butchered another carnivore. The Vanguard veterans and captain just kind of stood there, but scared. So good for them. Yeah, they accomplished quite a bit there, folks. And yeah, I guess if we zoom in here with the Land Raider, you can see the Blade Guard with Adrax, and I actually have models for those Blade Guard now, folks. They are completed and ready to play. I'm excited to show you guys the next report, which will feature them. They killed the carnivore, though, without many issues at all. Adrax does a lot of damage, it turns out. He's strength 10, he rerolls to wound, and he does 3 damage at AP 2. I know that there's probably other characters that do a lot more, but I'm impressed by a guy I'd never heard of, so kind of give me some slack there. Now, the fight with the jump intercessors with Chaplain, because I'm just astounded, like, my mind is just spinning. They got charged. This is one of those situations that back in my day, I was able, if they're able to get a charge with like a dreadnought kind of thing, and this guy seems way scarier than a dreadnought, frankly, then the jump pack guys would just slowly be eaten. It would be like a herd of wolves that just got kind of like trapped in a cave by some wolves, and the sheep just like slowly get eaten with no real recourse. They're just like, well, I guess that's that. But the Chaplain with jump hitter, it's just so different. 4 attacks just sitting there, and they're all able to wound on 5s. It's amazing, folks. I was very, very impressed. Killed the carnivore, and so we actually killed 2 guys this time, which is pretty cool because those eradicators, who are proxied as well, also torched the brigand. So the only way you score on turn 1 is with enemy kills. So I did get 4 there. Extend battle lines was claiming an objective outside of here my deployment zone. I got that one, and secure no man's land. I got one of those. I think I had to be in fully within other quarters or something like that, and I got one. I don't know. That one wasn't the best, but we went up to 11. My opponent got no prisoners and containment. Oh, and the no prisoners was just one that he rolled over from the last one. The containment one is something that's really good for his army because you can be within 9 inches of one or more of the battlefield edges, and his army is very responsive for that sort of thing. So he did get 4 packs of 3 Nurglings each and he deep struck them. So that's cool. They're like 40 points each, and they can't score, but they can do all sorts of other things. So they land there. They were the Abominant. They all shot, and they killed the Land Raider. They killed all of the Blade Guard. Adrax took 1 wound. And remember, folks, this whole time, they're just melting my army because of failed shock tests, and that's just recurring. I just failed all my shock tests this match. There was like one time I passed it, and he was so used to me failing it. He's like, fails it. I was like, oh, I actually passed it. He's like, oh, yeah, I guess you passed. Like, it was just funny. Like, we both just were like, whoa, okay, I am taken aback. So, yeah, they assaulted the repulsor. I couldn't believe the Abominant didn't kill that tank, but it didn't. And the tank tried to hit back, didn't accomplish anything. And I think they might have shot like 1 of my eradicators. I mean, it was a pretty good turn for them. They killed the Blade Guard, finished off the Land Raider, and got a lot of damage on my repulsor up top, who has all the Infernus Marines in there still. And he got all his Nurglings prepping to annoy me. And then my jump intercessor, you can see that little note. Just ignore it, folks. That's just a typo on my part. Yeah, there's a Land Raider sized hole in my heart now. Poor guy deserved better than to just stand there in the deployment zone and get hit by huge, stupid Warhound things. They look kind of like robots, guys. I won't lie. They're like chaos robots instead of kniggets. So primary, he did score for the enemy unit destroyed. He also got the one for getting an objective, and we weren't sure who was going to get the primary to score, who killed more things that turn. So we'll have to wait to the end of my turn. He got no prisoners because he killed 2 units, and containment he scored 6 of 6. So very high scoring turn for him, at least on secondaries. For my secondaries, they were pretty worthless for the most part, not that helpful at all. But what I ended up doing, folks, is I got the Vanguard vets out. I got the assault intercessors, the jump intercessors out, and the eradicators came out. They got within 9 inches, so we could melt the hell out of the Abominant. And he rolled like crazy. Kept getting 5-ups. Keep getting 5-ups. And I know I'm subjective on this, so who knows? Maybe his luck balanced out. And I'm not really bitter. You have to learn how to play through those kind of dice issues anyways if you're going to win a game like this. So not really an issue, but finally killed the Abominant. And the Vanguard vets were like, you know what, we're standing out in the open. We may as well just charge that Brigand and see if we can do some damage. Very similar to the way the Rebels attacked the Star Destroyers at Endor. They're like, well, we're not going to have that range. We won't last long against those Star Destroyers. And they'll last longer than they will against the Death Star, though. So, I didn't put a scoring page here, guys. We're gonna have to work that out. But I did end up scoring more this turn because I held more objectives, and I held an objective and I held more objectives. So I need to kill more than 2 units. I need to kill 3 this turn. So I had killed that. Oh, that's right. Okay, so I killed the Abominant, and I finished off the Brigand. Adrax actually the Carnivore. Adrax just went in and just punched the dude right in the nuts. It's a very impressive guy. And so I killed 2, and then I could have gotten a 3rd kill, but I was just so dumb. My jump intercessors could have. I tried to assault. It was like going to be an 11-inch charge or something, and I failed it. I could have just charged those Nurglings and gotten the 3rd kill for another 4 victory points, but I didn't, and that was my being stupid, so we'll just have to deal with it. My opponent for turn 3, he got +4 for holding an objective, and neither of us got the 4 points, by the way, for killing more than our opponents in turn 2. So we got Cleanse and Defend Strongholds. Defend Stronghold is just holding your objective marker, and that's it, man. It's a really easy one to get, except my opponent doesn't do it. He, in fact, just ignores his... he doesn't want to cleanse either. Like, that's a really tough mission to do because he has to use an action to do it, and that means no shooting and no charging for that model. And those he's running out of them, frankly. He can't afford to just sit there and just polish his objective. Be a good little warhound and polish the objective. And he did charge my intercessors with Nurglings at the bottom there. And to mixed results, really, the intercessors actually did something decent. I did use an Overwatch on more Nurglings with my Infurnaces up top, which was kind of funny. He's like, oh yeah, they have like 12 or 15 wounds, whatever it was, and the Infurnaces were like, yeah, they even rolled a little below average, but they torched him pretty hard, pretty hilarious. So my Vanguard vets are of course fighting that Brigand, and so he's charged in with his Carnivore as well. And you can see the Carnivore did kill a few of them. He is fairly scary, but he didn't kill all of them. And then the Power Fist and the Captain were able to finish off the Brigand that they had been in combat with. So that was exciting. And that was it, guys. He's got, 3 Brigands, one of which is only at 4 wounds remaining. Like, he's got the Carnivore, and he's got 2 little swarms of Nurglings. One is fully intact, one is barely, it's at 1. It has 1 character left. And, so, after my opponent was finished, He just conceded. He didn't get anything for the primary other than the 4 for holding 1 objective. He didn't get cleanse. He didn't defend stronghold, and he conceded because I think probably, honestly, guys, I think I would have tabled him. And that's no shade on my opponent. He's a really nice guy. We were both really trying to learn how to play our armies and learn how to play the game at all. So who really even knows? He had so much armor. It's very intimidating, but you can see the Eradicators just don't care that much about it. They're like, you know what, we got this. I think they could have killed either the Brigand or the Carnivore. We still had both of my repulsors that could have done more damage. You know, the Nurglings were not going to be an issue. I still had most of my Assault Intercessors. He did kill a lot, but I did manage to kill more, I think, and I think it would have ended up with me tabling him, which is no shade on him. That's just how it goes when you're learning things, and I think his army is kind of, it's so tricky to play if things kind of go sideways, like be killing an Abominant and one of his War Dogs after I'd already killed like 3 other ones. It was probably just a little too much stress for him to be able to, this army list to be able to kind of deal with. You know, maybe a veteran player would have played a little different than him. I don't know. It's not my choice to really tell you guys and prescribe how he should have played. At least not yet. Maybe someday we will. So, what did we learn on this? Good game to my opponent, Tommy. I didn't know this army existed until this game. Crazy, I know, but it's true. I had no idea. And, it was cool enough. Very one-dimensional. The army list is tiny. The total number of units you can take is very small. The Jump Troopers surprised the hell out of me, guys. I cannot believe... I thought, in theory, that they would be good, but I thought... They need to get the charge. If they're gonna be able to kill stuff, they need to be the ones to charge because they get a bunch of or at least in potential, they get a bunch of mortal wounds, and they're able to do a lot of cool stuff. But only if they charge, they get those. And my Chaplain was not rolling his mortal wound thing. You know, I was rolling below average most of the game, I think, but they still ended up doing so well, folks. I'm very impressed by them. I should also shout out the Overwatch ability for a lot of my army. I think there was at one point he was going to charge his Carnivore at my Land Raider Redeemer, and so I was like, you know what, he's going to die. I may as well just use my Redeemer Cannon, and the Redeemer Cannon did like 4 wounds to the Carnivore. Just pretty crazy stuff. So Overwatch on this with this army is really nice because remember, you get +1 strength to all your stuff within 12 inches. I'm kind of struggling with secondary objectives though, folks. The ones especially that they're like, hey, get on all sides of the board, you know, go on, you have to have a board presence everywhere, and I don't have that for this list, really. And that's a weakness now. I think that the killing potential is there for this list. I'm killing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of toughness. A lot of my shots just kind of are ignored for the most part. And so the fact that I was able to melt these guys as capably as I did is a testament to me not really understanding how the edition works still, I think. And also making a really good list and taking all the credit for it because I'm awesome. But I do need to work on, I hope you know I'm joking, but I need to work on those secondary objectives. We need a little more mobility, or I need a new way to kind of think about how these things transpire. So, news real quick. I do have I have 2 pictures here. I have my Blade Guard veterans. They're ready. They'll be played in the next match, so we get 1 less proxy unit in there moving forward, which is exciting. Pretty nice paint job by the dude I hired. And then just as by way of like, what's our goal, like as a competitive player, am I just gonna go and terrorize the local game store, or am I actually gonna put some my money where my mouth is and play in a big tournament? And of course, the answer is play in a big tournament. We have the October Open in October, kind of mid-October, and that's the thing we're ramping up for right now. So hopefully by then, no proxies for my army, and then other major tournaments that I'll consider, because I can't really afford to go to these huge tournaments yet. I would love to go to, I used to go to Adepticon, I used to go to War Games Con, they called it Balls Con back then. I used to go to Nova, Las Vegas Open, all these awesome big tournaments, and I just, the money's not there yet. So we do have the Rocky Mountain Open, though, which is in the Denver area, so that's exciting. And eventually we'll go to a bigger one, and we'll do tournament reports. It'll be a good time, folks. So any feedback would be amazing. Would love to hear what your thoughts are, folks. And is this an engaging style of battle? I know we still need to add more, just more stuff to this to make it nicer, but I would love more feedback. Hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff, folks. It helps tremendously, especially at this stage of the channel. Thank you for those who have already subscribed. And so let's just call it here, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Take care, folks.